Grow Together is the name of the business that I created for this class, and during this presentation, you will learn about all the ins and outs of this business that I've created. This presentation will cover the mission statement, vision statement, research analysis, target population, the marketing plan, financial considerations, and the operational plan. I will first start by going over the mission and the vision statement for Grow Together. The mission statement for Grow Together is designed to help individuals of all ages and diagnoses learn valuable life lessons as well as work on physical deficits including balance, strength, fine and gross motor skills, to just name a few. Grow Together will incorporate the use of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy to provide comprehensive therapy for individuals as young as school age up to the geriatric population. The program design will be able to be modified for all ages, diagnoses, and cognitive levels. Grow Together will utilize livestock, agriculture, and homemaking skills to promote the cognitive skills, physical skills, psychosocial, and behavioral skills. Grow Together will implement group type sessions with appropriate age ranges, cognitive levels, and behavioral characteristics. Grow Together provides a unique opportunity for individuals to complete their therapy while using farm and nature related tasks and activities. Grow Together is set apart from the traditional outpatient group therapy because it relates with the culture and traits of rural areas. The vision statement is that Grow Together will allow individuals in rural areas to have equal opportunity to occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy services. Individuals of all ages will have the opportunity for participation in activities related to livestock, agriculture, and homemaking skills in a group setting, small group setting, or individual sessions. Grow Together will also offer day programs as well as opportunities for field trips for local school districts. The ultimate vision of this business is to allow for individuals of rural areas or cultures to implement their therapy strategies into their everyday life and find motivation to participate in therapy to return to their prior level of function. Grow Together will provide therapy services for individuals in areas of low socioeconomic status and provide opportunity for community reintegration. Grow Together will also be able to work with local 4-H groups to allow for school-age individuals to integrate into social settings. The next area that we will discuss is the research analysis behind the idea of Grow Together. Some research that I found behind the idea of Grow Together covers a couple different broader topics, being that this business will hopefully attract individuals of all age diagnoses in the community. So the first article I found was by Cronin, and it talked about special need care for rural area children. And it talked a lot about how this population of people often are part of the lower socioeconomic class, making receiving therapy somewhat difficult, and how receiving the care needed for special needs children is more difficult than for individuals in more urban type areas. And going along with this, and this is just something I learned through talking with local individuals, is that a lot of farmers and farmer families, depending on if the spouse works or not, health insurance is sometimes extremely costly, especially like a decent health insurance that will cover outpatient therapies and the adaptive equipment or adaptive care that individuals with special needs would need. So that could be an issue that these individuals are battling. Another article I found by McGuire et al. Was about occupational therapy in rural schools and how getting the supplies needed in the school system for OT to run and be successful is very difficult, leading to maybe students not getting the same type of treatment they would get if they were going to a more urban, well-populated school district. And this is something that hopefully we can provide a safe treatments area for these schools. Also, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention has an article about TBIs, and it talks a lot about that there is a substantially higher rate of TBIs in rural areas than of urban areas due to the type of work that individuals in the rural areas are doing, as well as some of their leisure activities. You see more like ATV, dirt bike, type accidents just because of the hobbies of the rural population. And lastly, this article by Garabrandt and Liu, it talks about the loneliness in the geriatric population, and that at times the geriatric population in the rural communities don't have as many opportunities to go to community events because there aren't as many community centers as there are in the more urban areas. So hopefully being able to provide an activity for the older population to participate in could be beneficial for the community. The next area we will be talking about is the target population. So for the target population, like I mentioned earlier, the individuals will be from kindergarten through the geriatric population. Kindergarten is kind of the youngest I feel like we could go age-wise where they'll still be able to actively participate and benefit from the activities that will be taking place. Just some diagnoses that we might see are autism, CP, ADHD, TBI, PTSD, visual and hearing loss, learning disabilities, mobility deficits, and psychiatric disabilities. And just one of the big things is that the individual must be under care by a medical professional and cleared for participation. And ideally, our target population will be Stark County and the surrounding counties in the area. So next we have the community needs assessment. So most of Stark County resources are located in the Canton area, which is a mostly urban area, which Stark County is kind of surrounds Canton, and a lot of Stark County is a rural type area. There is a higher rate of TBI in rural areas, and with Stark County being a very rural area, this is prevalent in the area. There are lack of resources and equipment in rural areas. There's an increased rate of depression and loneliness, especially in the older population. and there's increased difficulty caring for individuals with special needs due to the lower socioeconomic status in the area. And I got this information for the most part from the Stark County Community Needs Assessment of 2023. And some of the current resources that are in the area is the Stark County Board of Developmental and Disabilities and Family Support Services, Pegasus Farms, the Brain Injury Association of Ohio, Akron Children's Hospital, and the Blick Center. So these are just a list of potential stakeholders in this business who could either see as people to refer clients to us, or that we could partner up with to potentially grow bigger, offer more, activities, sessions, things like that. So like I said earlier, the Stark County Board of DD, I think they would be super important to conduct an interview with, a survey, because they probably deal with the majority of our population on a pretty regular basis. The Stark County 4-H programs, it's very big in Stark County, and it can play a huge part. The Stark County Extension Office kind of plays along with 4-H. Pegasus Farms is actually the probably closest business to grow with me as far as like the type of treatment provided. So I feel like they would be super helpful to conduct an interview with and kind of pick each other's brains on ways that we could work together, things like that. The Brain Injury Association of Ohio, Akron Children's Hospital, Altman Hospital, Mercy Hospital being the local hospitals in the area, Walsh University's OT and PT program, as well as Mount Union's PT program, as ways to, integrate and develop more opportunities for this population. The next couple sections will include all we need to know about the marketing plan with Grow Together. So as far as the market analysis and similar businesses in the area, there really is no business that is just like Grow Together. But the 3 businesses that are listed all kind of have pieces and parts that Grow Together has. So Gentlebrook Center is located in Hartville, which is in Stark County. They have a multitude of different programs. They have a day program, respite care, a memory assisted living, and they also, with their day programs, they have like the greenhouse or the art room. I couldn't find the specific name, but an opportunity for individuals to go and make things that could be sold in their local shop, or grow vegetables and things and flowers that could be sold at the local shop. But one thing is, to my knowledge, Gentlebrook does not have a occupational therapist that is there daily providing any sort of treatment. Pegasus Farm is also located in Hartville. This is a horse farm that uses horse therapy or equine therapy with individuals. So to my knowledge, there are therapists there that are specifically trained for this type of therapy, but it's solely limited to the equine therapy. And lastly is the Blick Center. The Blick Center does have an OT on staff that does provide education and therapy services to the clients. The Blick Center does have a shop where they do make fruit, like fruit treats. So this is kind of similar in that it's providing a work-like atmosphere for their clients, but they again offer a multitude of other different services. So this was kind of difficult because there wasn't a lot of research on any business that's exactly like Grow Together. So before we start talking about the marketing strategies and tactics, I want to talk about marketing objectives. So by the spring prior to business opening, business founders will have developed a website, brochure, handout, and business card to ensure information is available to the public. By the end of the summer, business founders will attend the Stark County Fair as well as surrounding fairs and 4-H events to provide information to the public about Grow Together. By the time that the business is opening, founders and volunteers will have visited and provided information to 20 group homes and or day programs in the Stark County area. And lastly, the business founders will collect average number of questionnaires filled out and will adjust marketing plan if the average declines over any 3-month period. Next, we're going to go over marketing strategies. So the summer and fall prior to Grow Together opening, the creator of the business will attend the Stark County Fair as well as fairs in the local community to provide information about Grow Together. This will be a huge opportunity to gain potential clients due to the large number of families and young adults that attend the fairs through 4-H and other organizations. At these events, we will have an opportunity to provide handouts, business cards, merchandise for individuals to learn more about Grow Together. Another way of getting the business name out is through local pediatricians. There aren't a ton of pediatricians in the rural areas, so this isn't too many to have to visit, but the founder of the business will host luncheon at the local offices to provide information as well as all the brochures and handouts to the doctors to provide to their clients. We also will do luncheons or presentations at local school districts, specifically like the special education department, to provide information as well as our field trip opportunities. So next we're going to talk about the marketing tactics. So the best way to build a large group of followers is to build trust. And the easiest way to build trust is to show individuals that you understand where they came from and what is important to them. So with our group, farming and homesteading are very important to individuals in the rural areas. And these have been the forefront of these individuals' family success for a very long time. Giving these individuals an opportunity to receive the help that they ultimately need, doing tasks that are familiar and comfortable with them, will overall lead to the success of this business. We are ultimately taking individuals, whether it's themselves or their children, back to the roots of the area, to what they know, to bring individuals to participate. With this population, the internet is not super popular. People don't just surf the internet. So really, like, website clicks or like the amount of times the site is interacted with is not a good KPI. So really the biggest KPI we can use is like the amount of questionnaires filled out, whether that's in person at the fairs or the luncheons. And the marketing is going to be more importantly done face-to-face versus through like social media. There will be social media sources, but I don't think that's where we're going to gain the most of our followers. This slide, we're going to talk about the marketing timeline. So the marketing timeline is going to be kind of variable and something that may change year to year depending on the overall success. But initially, the timeline will start the spring of the year prior to opening. And this is when we will make sure that there's a website created. We have everything we need to promote the business, handouts, brochures, everything like that. Starting in the summer of the year prior, which the business is set to open in the spring. So this is the summer prior. This is when we'll start visiting with like local pediatricians, group homes, local medical professionals in the area to start getting our name out. And kind of later in the summer, quote unquote, fair season, this is when we will be attending fairs, 4-H club meetings, extension meetings, anywhere where we can go to promote growing together. And at the beginning of the school year will be when we will start going into the schools, special education departments to promote the program. And kind of in between all of these, as able, we will go to group homes, adult day centers, local rehab centers, anything like that to promote the business. And then kind of as we get the business on our feet, it's just going to be providing updates to the community kind of as the success starts to happen. So like I kind of talked about earlier, to monitor and evaluate the success of the marketing plan, we will be tracking website views, but I don't think that's going to be the most accurate way of tracking marketing. But I do think that the number of questionnaires completed could be a pretty good sign of how our marketing is doing. There will be a questionnaire form on the business's website that individuals can fill out, as well as during like events and fairs. And these questionnaires will basically provide the information of the person to the business owner to contact them to provide more information and explain how everything is going to run. It can be expected that as the business grows in popularity, that the amount of website views and questionnaires filled out should continually go up. But if there is a time where there is a steady decline in these numbers over any 3-month period, this is kind of the cue that we need to readdress our marketing plan. All right, so our last kind of group of slides is going to talk about the finances for Grow Together. All right, so we're going to talk about initial startup cost. I'm not going to go into like precise numbers, but going through what are the main things that we need to have before the business can start. So this business will be run on a family farm. So a lot of the things we need are already kind of in place. Like the garden, for the most part, is what it is. We do already have kind of a lot of these things, but I kind of picked and choosed based off of ideally what we would like our starting numbers to be as far as participants. So things we would need for initial startup. So we would need seeds. So that's green bean seeds and then pickling cucumber seeds. The mason jars, pressure cooker, the sourdough bread making kits, baking flour, distilled water, bread bags. Those are kind of the things we need for the sessions. To get the business up and running, you need the LLC, which through my research was like $99 startup fee. Could be a little bit more, including like the agent fee. Malpractice insurance would be anywhere from like $100 to $1,000. I really had no idea how much a business lawyer fee was. I tried to do some research and couldn't really find a number. And then for handouts, office supplies, additional OTs, which we won't have initially, but something to take into consideration. So we're looking at about like $3,500 for just the supplies, and that's actually a little more than all of this added together. So that does give us a little wiggle room. And then we're looking at like 5,000 projected for like insurance, employees, lawyer, LLC, all those things. So I think in the grand scheme of things, I think $10,000 would be a very realistic number for startup costs. As far as revenue forecasting, again, there's really like no way of like finding information about success of businesses like this because the business is very new and unique. So I created costs that I felt like were reasonable. So the cost per session per client is about $20. At business opening, when we start selling product, these are the costs I came up with based off of store costs, us making some sort of revenue. So like a quart of green beans is $3, quart of pickles is $6, loaf of sourdough bread is $5, a dozen eggs is $3. With estimated revenue, I can let you guys read this. With the layout of what we have, we can ultimately make about $6,700 off green beans, 800,000 off pickles, not 800,000, 8,000 off pickles. We generally sell about 7 dozen eggs a week. That's how many dozen eggs we get. So we're looking at like $1,000 a year from that. We really can't determine a price of sourdough because we don't know how many we're going to sell. So ultimately, we should make back, and then ideally we'd love to have 20 clients per week over a 6-month span, being that's when the business is going to be running most frequently. So ultimately, revenue after the first year, we're looking at like 20,000. I really don't know how accurate this is or how realistic this is, but in my head, this seemed realistic. So as far as the cost analysis, most expenses for Grow Together are going to be variable. Once the initial startup costs are made, the financials will be dependent on the need of the business. So the canners, the bread making kits, those things are all things we can reuse from year to year. But I'm assuming in due time, those will break. So there's years where we may need to replace those. There will be an annual cost that needs to be accounted for to get the product that we need each year. But kind of as the business moves forward, the average inventory will be calculated, which will allow us to adequately allocate finances and maybe not need to buy so much stuff every year or maybe an every other year type of thing. That'll just have to be decided as the business progresses. And kind of due to the nature of the business, it can be assumed that springtime will be when most of the finances and money is spent. As the business grows, hopefully we can offer more opportunities in the off-season months, but the steady income should hopefully be established by this point to assist with offering and expanding the business. Participant payments will be put towards the payment of staff as well as creating more opportunities for the business. So this is budget allocation for strictly marketing. So this money will include all of the copies of the handouts, brochures, business card, company merchandise. We'll also set aside money for food and incentives for the luncheons and presentations. I think ideally like $1,000 would be sufficient, but there is room in the budget for more if needed. So the operational plan and day-to-day plan for this business is going to be kind of variable. Um, in the early stages, the business is only going to run for part of the year, basically starting from when crops are ready to be picked. And this will mainly be done by the founder of the company because ultimately, whether the business is running or not, this is something that needs to be done. There will be open times for individuals to sign up for sessions and for field trips. So the founder and OT's schedule is basically dependent on when people sign up for these sessions, which will only be made available when it is convenient or appropriate for the therapist. So days that there are treatment sessions, the day will start with the founder gathering all the supplies needed for the day. Make sure that all the equipment is working properly and that the work area is safe. So every session will be approximately 1 hour with the same structure. So there'll be an overview of what the session will include. There will be an educational piece, working through the steps of the task together, discussing kind of the selling of the products, and then any concluding remarks, homework, things for the participants to work on. As far as selling the product, there'll be a booth set up on the property for people to come and purchase the product, as well as at the convenience of the instructor, we'll attend local farmers markets, things like that. And then basically it's kind of up to the OT to restock the booth as needed. The last big area that we need to talk about is risk management. Overall, the risk during the sessions are relatively low, but it'll be all up to the discretion of the session leader on what is appropriate for the students as far as their level of participation and what they can handle and what they can't. The biggest risk really of injury will be like using the stove and the oven, and there'll be guidelines in place to ensure protection of the participants, including using oven mitts, protective aprons, gloves when handling food, knives with guards on them, and constant supervision will be huge. Thank you guys for listening to my presentation. I would love any feedback on my group, things we can work on. And lastly, there's a couple slides of references that I used throughout the assignment.